Welcome to Gaming Grains, the whiskey gaming channel. I'm your player one, Richard. And today we're going to be exploring some different whiskey gadgets. Some that are practical, some that enhance, and some that are just plain fun. So grab your controllers, pour yourself a dram, and let's get into it. The first gadget that we're going to talk about is probably the most obvious, and that is your glassware. Now, no matter how you are consuming your whiskey, you're going to need some sort of vessel to contain the liquid that you're getting ready to consume. But when we talk about whiskey, the glassware is going to change based on the experience that you are wanting to have. We have things that are meant for your everyday drinker, all the way up to our whiskey aficionados and enthusiasts. Now, the lowball glass is going to be perfect for things that you are wanting to consume over ice, over those whiskey stones, or just if you are a casual drinker, having a low ball glass is something that you're going to have readily available. And plus, when you go to a bar, more than likely, if you ask for a pour of whiskey, it's going to be something in like this, as well as your mixed drinks and cocktails like old fashions and Manhattans. Now, as you start to expand your palate, and if you're wanting to know a little bit more about the nuances of whiskey, then these three are going to probably be something that's going to be something that you're interested in. Now, these are different variations of Glencairns, with this one specifically being called a Copita, Copita. Now, you'll notice that the shape on each of these starts at a broad base and then tapers up at the top. What this allows to happen is as you are letting the whiskey sit, all of the aromas are going to be funneled up here, as well as any of the ethanol that is going to come off. So when you're consuming your whiskey, if you really want to explore it, you can put your nose here in the glass and start to get some of those subtle nuances or nosing notes from your whiskey. Now, the difference between these three here is going to obviously be the base. Now, you can pick up these. I don't know the specific name of this type of Glencairn, but these are the ones that I would typically get if I go to a gift shop or I've attended tastings at distilleries. They don't have the little tapered edge that you have here. Now, this specific glass is what we call a Glencairn. I believe a gentleman over in Scotland designed these specifically for Scotch whiskey with that tapered top part to help funnel the aromas as you are consuming. Plus, this really helps to enhance the experience as you are drinking. Also, with this tapered bottom here, you're not directly touching the glass as if you were doing this one. You have a bit of temperature transfer from your hand into the liquid, making it a little bit warmer. But if you're drinking it neat, that may not be something that you're too concerned about. And then, of course, something that I consider to be a little bit more official, things that you would see at a more refined tasting, so to speak, is going to be this Copita that has a stem. Now, so no matter where you are in your drinking journey, there is a glass that is right for you. Now, sticking on that same vein of glassware, we're going to take a look at gadget number 2, which is going to be a miniature Glen and a traveling case. Now, this was created by a gentleman by the name of Brian Cobble. Hopefully I said your name correctly. And this brand is called Bottled to Bond. Now, this is great for those whiskey enthusiasts who will attend tastings and bottle shares, and you don't want to drink out of a plastic cup. Well, this helps to meet that need with your little miniature Glen and your traveling case. Now, I love some of the just thoughtfulness that was put into this whole setup. First, starting off here with this little loop. Now, you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll just put my finger in it. But many people, what they'll do is they will buy a small carabiner and then attach it to their belt loop. So as they're moving throughout the festival or the tasting, or bottle shares, then they have it right there that's really accessible. It is very small and compact and can fit in your glove box or into your bag as you're traveling around. Another really cool feature is on the Glen itself. Now, you'll notice that he has his logo there, but what you may not know is that on each little part, there's actually we use this as a form of measurement. And so on his little packaging, when you get it, it'll tell you that I believe right here at the base of the logo is going to be about half of an ounce. As you make your way further up through the logo, there are going to be different units of measurement. Now, I don't have the information here in front of me, but it is really cool if you're just trying to be a little bit more precise about your pours. Now, what also is great about this is the price. Now, if I remember correctly, I think I paid about $32 for this, which isn't too bad. There are other companies out there that do make something like this. But the more that you buy, the bigger the discount that you get. And who also doesn't love supporting a small business? So, gadget number 2, a travel size Glen, definitely worth adding to your list. Now, this next gadget is just merely for convenience, but if you find yourself going to a tasting or a bottle share and you have more than one bottle, well, then you probably could use one of these bags from Aged in Ore. Now, there's many things to love about this bottle, and first and foremost is going to be its size. Now, as we open this guy up, it will tell you that it can hold up to 4 different bottles, all from various sizes and shapes. But it can even hold bottles as big as this 1 liter of Sazerac Rye 100 proof. Now, this is great too for family events and vacations. If you prefer to bring along some wine, most bottles are going to be about the size of this Saz 100. You could also, if you're not using all of those spaces, put your other things in here, like your mini Glen from Bottle to Bon in here. Now, it's kind of a little hard to see, but it is insulated and pretty thick, and it has 4 separate inserts. Let's see if we can show you that there on the camera, that are pretty thick walled to keep your bottles from bumping and crashing into one another, decreasing on noise and just making it all around convenient for those longer trips, tastings, or bottle shares. Now, the first couple of gadgets that we talked about are for pretty much just about anybody, no matter where you are on your whiskey journey. Now, these next couple gadgets that we're going to talk about are really going to be geared towards our whiskey enthusiasts and, more like myself, whiskey nerds. And the first thing that we're going to look at are going to be these sample bottles. Now, I happen to have 2 2-ounce glass sample bottles, but you can get them in 1 ounce, you can get them in plastic, you can have this brown color or clear. There's all sorts of options, and you can get quite a large quantity of them for relatively inexpensive prices on Amazon. Now, what most of them really include are going to be these tiny funnels, which are great for getting that whiskey into your sample bottle. Now, what I typically do if I'm going to share a sample of something with a friend is on my computer, I'll use just a simple word program, look up a label, and then print it off of my printer with the information that'll stick on the bottle. Now, using the funnel, there are a couple of just quick little things that you need to know, and that is, don't just have the funnel sitting here on top. It does not allow any of the air that's inside the bottle to escape and can cause the liquid to come and spill out. So just kind of hovering it a little bit above there works out perfect. Now, after you have your liquid inside the bottle, make sure you secure the cap. Sometimes what we like to do is just put a little bit of duct tape on there just to make sure that you have a little bit of added security. But these are great for sharing just little samples of bottles for friends and family and other whiskey enthusiasts. Now, this next gadget may seem simple and maybe a little bit silly, but I have found that as I start to explore the world of whiskey more, I really appreciate having this tool at my disposal, and that's simply a plastic dropper. Now, I've always been of the mindset that I'm going to enjoy whiskey as it was intended, and that was how the master distiller put it in the bottle. But as of late, I have found that by simply adding a few drops of water, it can often enhance the overall experience with whiskey. Sometimes it can bring out notes that maybe were hidden. Other times it can soften maybe a higher proof of whiskey. So, and the great thing about these droppers, especially this one right here, is you get to control how much water you want to add to your whiskey. Sometimes 1 or 2 drops will be enough. Sometimes you may want to add a few more. but having this tool at your disposal is a great gadget to have. Now, these next gadgets do serve a purpose, but I use them merely as an accessory or an accent to my office or my whiskey bar, and that's these bar mats. Now, I do have two here from my favorite distilleries, Pursuit United and Old Dominic. I do carry this one with me whenever I go do my tastings as an ambassador. It's a great way to just kind of showcase the brand, but I also use them when I'm here at home. If I have friends or family over and we're getting a couple of pours, I do tend to be a little bit messy when I am having a conversation and trying to pour whiskey. So these make great accents, but also are practical if you tend to be a little bit messy and have some spills. Now, I saved my favorite gadget for last, and it truly is a splurge item and in no way a necessity. In fact, if you have a couple of glens or glasses and some pieces of tape, then you can do exactly what this thing does. And this thing is what is called a solo blind. And its intention is to do exactly what its name is. It's to allow you, the user, to do blinds solo. Now, you'll notice here when we remove the cover, that it is 4 different glens in different holders sitting on a rotating wheel. Now, the way that this works is very simple. You simply remove one of the holders, add your whiskey to the glen. On this little dog tag, write down what whiskey you've put into the glen, insert both, and place back onto the rotating wheel. Now, the company that makes this truly has thought of everything. In fact, they have shown you how on their instructions to do a 2 or even 3 whiskey blind. So you don't have to totally use all 4 of these spaces. Now, whenever your whiskey is poured and you're ready to go, simply add the cover back on, give the wheel a spin, and you truly don't know where the different whiskeys are. Now, if you wanted to take this a step further, they do offer some of their sets that have black Glencairn, so you can't see the color of the liquid when you're doing your tasting. Now, I bought my Glen separate. Wasn't able to find any black ones, but clear works just as well. Now, whenever you're ready, simply remove your glens and their cases and do your tasting. At the end, now I want to reveal what is in the glass. Simply remove the dog tag to find out your answer. Now, as I mentioned before, this truly is a splurge item and is no way a necessity. In fact, the way I used to do blinds before was have my wife come in, put a little piece of tape on here with some letters or numbers, and match up the corresponding bottles behind me with the same thing. Now, I did see on Etsy that there's a company that makes something similar where you can get these, but these are intended to be for samples instead of glens. Now, I do not know if they are affiliated with this company or not. This company, I believe, is called Just Blinds. But I might be 2 separate entities. But it's really cool, and I can't wait to use this in more of my videos. Alright guys, well these are just a few of my favorite whiskey gadgets. Now, as I mentioned before, some of them are a little bit more practical, some are intended to enhance the whiskey drinking experience, and some are really just meant to be for fun. Now, I know that there are tons of other really cool whiskey gadgets out there that you all probably have, and I would love for you to share them with me. So make sure that you list them down in the comments below. If you have any questions about any of these products or want to know where I got them, also be sure that you list them down below in the comments. As always, please make sure that you like the video. It just helps get awareness of the channel out there, helps feed that algorithm. And if you haven't already subscribed, be sure that you do so. Alright guys, as always, I appreciate you sticking until the end. I'm your favorite player one, Richard. Have a good one.